بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم أرنا حق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا باطلا باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. There's been some controversy. It's not recent. Controversy has been around in the Western communities quite for some time. And that is because, obviously, you guys have to understand. I'm not justifying, but you have to understand the pressure that exists in the West on the Imams. That's the first thing. I want to be as impartial and as fair as possible when I'm talking about this. And why am I talking about it? It's because I've not talked about it usually. Indirectly I've done. But it has to be, because I think more people have to talk about it now, because it's really getting out of hand. And there's a direction that is taken. And for those of you, maybe you don't know some of these brothers, may Allah bless them, some of these Imams, some of these Sheikhs, may Allah protect them and guide them. Maybe you just follow them on Instagram or Facebook or that. I'm not saying I'm their best friends or something like that, but I know them. I even took some classes with some of them. And I followed them for a long time in understanding, and there's definitely been changes, and I've spoke to some of them. I just recently had lunch with one of them before the lockdown. And his response when asked about, what's going on with all these things, right? And his response, you don't understand how difficult it is to live in the West, in the pressure that we're faced with. And my thought is on that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, was my land not big enough to travel? That's what Allah says in the Quran. Now I know a lot of people say, yeah, but it's not that easy anymore and this and that. But a lot of us, I've done it. A lot of us have done it. And you never know, things can change, but at least you have to try. And the issue of the hijrah is quite important for people to understand, because you cannot justify certain things in light of how oppressed you are and all that. That's the first thing. Second thing is that we do understand the pressure. Just like we understand, for example, what's happening to some of our brothers and sisters who are being put in the corner, killed, and so on. And then some of them react back by doing certain acts, attacking and so on, which we always say we don't justify. We just say, you can understand where this person is coming from, what they've seen and all that, psychologically speaking. And the same way, can understand the pressure, yes, no doubt. But I think problem is that we need to make the distinction that it cannot be justified. And a lot of the watchers, the bystanders who are watching now, followers of a lot of these Imams, may Allah protect them and guide them, they don't actually see the problem. They cannot see the problem, because number one, some of them don't have the ability to see that something is wrong or something is right. And this is something normal. These Imams themselves will tell you that you're ma'mun, you're a follower. And some people have, not everyone, obviously. And some of them cannot see the details of where the problem is. But that's okay, that's just normal. However, some of them just don't want to, because they've fallen so much in love. And the concept of the famous Imam or Sheikh or superstar Sheikh, it's been around now for some time, right? With certain movements, and people have become quite attached to certain Imams. May Allah protect them and bless them and guide them, right? And due to that, it has caused problems, because people are kind of I'm not going to say in love, but it's kind of like a blind love, right? So no matter what anyone would say, there's a few things that they say. Right now you hear, whenever you criticize something, there's a few things that people will say. Number one, they'll say, who are you to criticize them? And it's a fallacy, because it's it's just an argument of, are you qualified enough and this and that. And look, Yes, there are a lot of qualified people who could criticize these brothers, because you're probably saying that are they the top of the, are they really the top, so no one else is above them? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. Above every possessor of knowledge, there is someone above them. So that's not a proper argument. That's number one. Number two, they'll say, oh, you should attack the argument, not them. You have to understand, you cannot separate the person from the argument, unless there are people, no doubt, who have lack of adab and manners, and they will start insulting these brothers. Okay? Which there's some people can find some evidence for that when it comes to finding people bid'ah. There's been certain statements, but in general, and it's not good to insult someone, and it's not an Islamic manner or etiquette of the real scholars of the past, and so on. However, you'll find that there's been sometimes when the scholars have refuted each other in books, there has been certain harsh words that have been used. But again, the normal masses would not know that, so they will say, no, this is wrong. Okay? It's something difficult, but I believe insulting, it's not going to solve anything. Psychologically speaking, just from a rational perspective, this person is going to get very upset. And that's why we've seen in one of the interviews recently, one of the Imams got very upset because people were insulting, right? So he feels like, and he's not going to listen to people when these people are insulting. And this is not the correct methodology. You're not going to get anywhere, be it that it's from the Sunnah, be it that it's from, certain scholars saying whatever. But in the end, this person will shut down. Okay, so you're not going to get to him, right? That's very important to understand. So, but at the same time, people cannot make a distinction between the person who says something and themselves, the person itself. Because then you're like, well, or just deal with what I've said. I'm safe from me as a person, No, you cannot. The person is the person who's saying. They are responsible for what they are saying. You have to be responsible for what you are saying. Allah will hold you accountable for what you are saying. Okay, so that has to be very understood. So again, the people who say such things, they don't really understand what's going on. It's not something you can go based on. And people talk about opinions, this is my opinion, but again, what you say in your opinion has impact on those around you. So you cannot escape from the things that you say, because what you say also, some of these imams, they do anger a lot of people, and they themselves, these imams, insult certain groups by using certain terminology like neo-Salafi and pseudo-Salafi and certain academic terms that are, in a way, they sound quite polite, but they're not. The connotation of these words are quite negative. And I'm sure the people that these words are directed at, they understand that. So, see, it's not fair, and it's also not correct to attack and say, why are you insulting me? I'm going to take my, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm going to get your good deeds. Like, you already know that you're on the right path and you're going to get people's good deeds. It's not like that. It's not like that. I'm so sorry. We can't reduce it just like that. And at the same time, you are academically insulting a lot of these groups, or certain these groups that you were part of once. And then you expect people to say nothing, and then you're going to take their good deeds and you're going to be the one who's the victim. And it's kind of like, I think it's a tactic that's, I'm not sure if he knows that he's doing that or not, but it's not a valid tactic. It's actually quite a not so good tactic, a tactic that is not very good. Okay, so I think it's fair for people to criticize. There's nothing wrong with criticism. Scholars have criticized themselves, each other. They've written refutations and books refuting each other. Sometimes they're very respectful, sometimes they're a bit stronger. And these are scholars that both you and I follow and respect. So definitely, I don't think some of these imams should be safe from it. Should there be respect? No doubt. Should you insult them? No way. I don't think so. Personally, my personal opinion is that they should not insult them. But keep in mind that you've already insulted them to an extent already, and you've hit at them. It's kind of like having a long needle and poking at their skin, and it really hurts, like one of those annoying pokes, right? And then when they slap you, oh, he hit me, and it doesn't work, right? And by the way, the pokes have been happening now for about 7 years, 8 years, I would say, right? With different articles. It's very subtle messages, very interesting, very creative writing and articles and lessons and lectures, but definitely the pokes have been there, okay? From quite a few of these imams. And then of course these guys, sometimes maybe a bit overreactive, quite young, some of them have hit back quite hard. But then it's not fair for you to say, well, I just got slapped, how dare you slap me? But you've been poking at them for a long time. Even a dog, right? If you take a stick and you're going to keep poking at it in a corner, keep poking, it will bite you. It will bite you no matter what you do. The dog will bite you. So I just wanted to say this in the first episode that I'm talking about and addressing this issue, right? I know some of these brothers, they're not my best friends. I'm not going to say, hey, I know them so good and let me refute them. No, it's not really a refutation. It's an analysis and maybe responding to some of these things, because I think they're the only ones getting the voice. They're also the ones who claim the victim card, that they've been hurt and people have, insulted them and all that. And people are missing what's being said and the impact that it has on the Western community and the Ummah at large. Because right now it's not just about East and West, We're living in a global village. And that's why, actually, what I was telling this brother was we have so many issues in the Muslim countries that he's been away from for quite some time now, maybe about, 10 years now. We have so many, maybe even worse issues than what you have in the United States, to be honest. And I've been a teacher, I've been a principal, school principal for quite some time now. And I think they've also worked with youth and so on, but they're more like what I call, and it's not an insulting term, it's like tourists, because they do lessons, weekends, stuff like that, just seminars, but they've not actually lived with these kids day and night, because that's where you find the problems. The real problems are found in the youth. That you'll find the problems not only of the adults, but also of the future of these adults, right? So it is definitely something that I don't think they know what's going on. So the card that they're using, that well, it's very difficult in the West, you don't understand, it's not a valid card. Right now we have very, very huge problems in the East, but they're not, and it's Muslim countries, it is Muslim countries, right? So this is just my analysis of the thing, right, of the issue right now at hand. I'm not going to name the brothers. I think all of you know what's going on. So the issues that I would address and have been talked about, okay, LGBTQ issue, and I'll clarify, it's been around for some time, and that's going to be addressed. The issue of the hudud that just recently came upon, some statements that have been clarified, but I want to just I don't want to take it out of context, but I want to say again that you have to be careful with what you say, because it does have an effect, especially when you have hundreds of thousands of followers. It has an effect. So responsibility, and then that you come and say, well, I had different stages in my life, and depends when I said it. That doesn't absolve you necessarily of what you've, the damage that's caused, because you're not Allah. You're not like Allah that He'll forgive you and that's it, it's wiped off. No. What you will do, even if you ask for forgiveness, it will impact those people. Now, you might have changed your stance and your position and have made tawbah from it, or, reworded things, but the damage is already there, right? So that's why I have to be very careful. So that's going to be addressed. The issue of the qira'at that's been, there will be also addressed. And try to understand a bit more as to which direction. And it's not targeted at one person, by the way. There's a few there. It's not just one person. May Allah protect them. May Allah guide them. May Allah bless them. And may Allah forgive them. These are Muslims, by the way. And I don't agree with the people who are just jumping and just smashing and just insulting and just right? We have to make sure that things are clear in context and correct. And also, you have to understand with the issue of, oh, brother, why don't you talk to them first? Yeah, a lot of the people did talk, and I also had some discussion. But it's not just about that, because see, they talk outside to everyone, and then you're asking someone to go and just talk to them. Why did Musa alayhi salam want Fir'aun with the wizards to meet at when the morning light was up, and Yom Zina, when there's a lot of people? Because he wanted to show everyone what's going on, because Fir'aun's been telling them something else, and Musa now is going to tell them the truth. So again, I want to say to the awam, the regular people, like, who are watching, who are following, don't be so emotional. Try to look and listen to the argument on both sides. Not just because you love these brothers, and they have done a lot of good for this ummah. They have taught a lot of good lessons and a lot of good things. But you have to understand that that does not excuse the mistakes. Because, again, not that we want to punish or we want to, Allah will forgive, inshallah, ya Rab. But it's the damage that will be done to the people. Because your mistake when it comes to this is not about a mistake between you and Allah. Now, this is a mistake of you teaching people something that might affect their iman. And you might be safe with your iman, inshallah, get into Jannah, and Allah will forgive you and make tawbah. You have knowledge and piety and righteousness, and may Allah accept. But these people that have heard, and it will take you as an example, maybe even as an excuse. Now, for those people, it's a different story, isn't it? Right? So that is why public discourse on this issue and dialogue and refutation, scholarly refutation, intellectual refutation, polite refutation is important on this matter. It is important on this matter. Okay? So don't get upset because you have nothing to get upset about. Because you didn't get upset when they said certain things. And also, a lot of you don't know the full picture of what they've said and the implications that it has, or what they have not said. Right? That's also something that we're going to look at. So please try to understand, relax. I'm talking to just the regular YouTubers, Facebookers, Instagrammers, all the people who are just jumping now and smashing from one side, attacking, and on the other side defending blindly, and and they're fighting, and the whole actual thing is getting lost. The problem itself is being diluted. Okay, so let us look at that, inshallah. We're going to try to analyze things one by one. And I hope that these videos reach more people. And I don't want anyone to say, brother, who do you think you are? Why do you criticize? We're not criticizing. We're trying to basically understand and give a different perspectives. Maybe, remember, these guys are not ma'asum. They are not infallible. There's a huge chance that they made a mistake. A huge chance. And we'll make it clear, inshallah. And then you guys decide. But don't turn off your ears and your mind before you listen to what other people have to say. And I would like to also advise my brothers who are refuting these brothers to take it easy and focus on the refutation itself, as opposed to insulting, attacking, and even your tone of voice. Be careful how harsh it is. And you might be able to justify that this one did this and Imam so-and-so did that. I could justify, no doubt. I know of these instances and I understand where you're coming from. But keep in mind the context and the people that you deal with. Keep in mind the Prophet used to change his ways depending on who he's talking to. Keep in mind that hikmah is very important, and sometimes you need to adapt your methodology, because yes, the Prophet sometimes was harsh, sometimes was soft, depending on the situation. Okay? And if you want to get people to listen, right now these Imams are getting the victim card, that they're being attacked and insulted, so it's in their favor. A lot of people are shutting down and turning off because of the way you've been attacking these brothers. So change the way, and I think maybe more people will listen. Wallahu a'lam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. May Allah guide these brothers to the truth, and all of us to the truth, inshallah, and forgive us for our sins. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.